Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Ninefingers titled Falling Every Day. And if we switch over to here we have ourselves the art on the screen that says Nine is Afraid. There are a few people involved with this track I should note, with of course Ninefingers being involved there, the main vocals. Connor Helm produced the beat, Cadet added background vocals, and Chris Kasuga frontman for Fake Canadian added the guitar sections, and then finally mix and mastering was apparently done by Kyle Appleton. And we're going to be listening through this track from start till finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. The backing vocals are kind of psychedelic, aren't they? Nice layering of the guitars with the drums and bass and everything though.
I could say there was a moment when I fell for you last night. Like some curtains pulled aside and you were bathed inside the light. Like it was something from a story. Like you were shining so bright. Like the rest of the world faded cause they couldn't match your sight. I could say it and it would be true. It would not be the whole truth. The truth is I've been falling since that first day that I met you. When you asked about my hat and the pen I keep attached. Do I use it to write stories or is it an aesthetic to attract questions? I had questions too, like were you attached and were you attracted to the ways I am or what I do? But I was afraid, didn't want to scare you away. And so I swallowed all those words I really wanted to say. Cause if I opened my mouth, my tongue would surely betray that I was dreaming of our future on that very first day. Yeah, I was dreaming of our future on that very first day. And then I fell for you again, the first time I heard your voice. It was honest, it was lovely, the kind of sound that just destroys all my defenses. I am helpless every time that I hear it, because my life is always richer every time my ears are near it. I hope you sing forever, I hope your song never ends. I hope you're always appreciated by your lovers and your friends. And I hope I'm always nearby to lift the light to the sky, to help illuminate the notes you sing and lift them up high.
It's kind of interesting that we have this sort of penmanship sort of reference here, like, it sounds like poetry. We talked about his hat and his pen and everything like that, the voice of the other person, etc., the way they communicate. The vocals are, I mean, the story is really intriguing, it's captivating, but it's just a combination of those background vocals on the side there, which, they're all mesmerizing. And the kind of low-key tone of the guitar, bass, and drums below with the sparkle of the keys occasionally, the higher end is just magical. But extreme fuzz on the guitar as well, which is a kind of interesting texture.
And then I fell for you again when you came out to my show. When all the colors of your outfit match the shades of my soul. Man, you're the dopest, cause every choice you've ever made is earnest. From all those fits that you rock to all that music you drop. There is no cynicism in the way you shape your world. I think that's beautiful, I think you're beautiful. And there's such lyricism in the way you share your soul. I think that's beautiful. I think you're beautiful.
I like the pauses we have as well after the description he makes, and he says he thinks it's beautiful. It allows you to really sort of, it's like he's having a conversation with that person, allowing them a chance to speak, you know.
I think you're beautiful. I could say there was a moment when I fell for you last night. I could say it and it would be true, but it would not be the whole truth. Cause the truth is I've been falling since that first day that I met you. The truth is I keep falling every day. The truth is I keep falling every day. The truth is I keep falling every day.
And that really gentle fade out at the end. Okay, I think this one is fairly easy to understand, and I think we're going to talk about it more in the conclusion section. Because welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Ninefingers, titled Falling Every Day. It's off of a 5-track EP, if I understand it, This track at least is going to be released on August the 26th, if I'm not mistaken, which I think is the day. This will be released on a day after it gets put out. So if you like this track, please do go check them out via their various social medias. But what do I think this song is about? I think Falling Every Day is talking about you know, not only, like having a connection with a person on that last night, maybe spending the night, like whatever way you spent it, but it's that also admitting that you've been falling for that person every day for quite a long while, ever since you met. The sound of their voice and everything like that is entrancing, the lyricism and everything like that. Maybe they're a singer-songwriter that you also enjoy. This, to be fair, could be about a number of different things. It could be talking about actual musicians that we admire. It could be like someone that we know who is a musician that we've fallen in love with, that we know personally. There's different ways of interpreting it, but either way, I think the fact that we didn't necessarily rhyme every single line methodically, that we allowed some pauses there, we had free flow expression there, we weren't sort of trying to stay in the da 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 da, like the kind of static vocal phrasing that you get, or like the triple phrasing. It's almost like a conversation, because it didn't sound like it was too formulaic. It sounded like we were someone was genuinely speaking their mind and their truth throughout this track in a way that was still comprehensible and meaningful. And I appreciate the effort put into trying to create an interesting story, whilst also showing what Ninefingers is about. Because I reviewed tracks previously from Ninefingers, such as Even Baddies Get the Saddies, and they're not the same kind of vibe or sound. Like, we experiment with different tones and stuff, and I think that's the idea behind this upcoming EP as well. But I think that's great to try different sounds and textures and tones and sort of explore what's possible. And if you're a solid vocalist like Ninefingers is, I think you've got more than enough leeway to be able to do that, because we rap really well. The words come through clearly. It's articulate, well composed, experienced, and polished. And I don't think we needed to do it. Was very sort of like consistent with the tonal emotional delivery of it, but I don't think we needed to sort of like do more than what we had with it. I think that we expressed ourselves appropriately for the subject matter. It was a very kind of calm, sort of like calculated conversation, but that still felt real, and that came through in a way that was very sort of like, it was pleasing to listen to. The backing vocals we had in the background from Cadet, if I'm not mistaken, they were a nice sort of legato, sort of long phrased, kind of almost like another instrument within the mix there. I was like da 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 da. They were kind of sing a melody on the sides there, harmonizing with each other, and I think that was great. It was nice to allow room for Ninefingers in the middle whilst they swirled around on the sides there. It was an interesting soundscape that was created by that. It's also worth noting there are other instruments in this track, it being 3.5 minutes, which is within that 2 to 4 minute sweet spot there. We had verses and choruses, if I'm not mistaken, there, with enough time to also be able to appreciate the instrumental pattern of the guitars, bass, drums, and keys, even up until the end, where we had that really sort of slow, graceful fade out. To talk about a few of the instruments I liked, I thought the guitars were great. They were fairly minimalist there. I think that it was nice to have a bit of color with some of those chords in the mid-range as well. Some really sort of fuzzy leadish parts there, which was a nice sort of like foil to what was going on with Ninefingers in the main. And I think that it sort of explored some pentatonics in a way that was kind of artsy, and it made it a little bit more classy despite the fuzziness of it. It wasn't trying to be sort of a pointed texture. That's what the main sort of vocal line was. We had the contrast between the intensities and sort of like attack of certain things there, but the guitar was colorful, harmonized neatly on top of the bass parts, which had a nice sort of sense of cohesion rhythmically with the drums. We explored the root notes well there within the harmonies there, and we didn't do much more than that. It was more about keeping in time with the kicks and snares. The kicks and snares of the drum kit there. We had like some cymbals and some occasional sort of like snare rolls on it, which kind of petered out and were an interesting sort of tail on the end of each of those lines or bars. We had the keys as well. It's kind of a sort of like sparkly, starry kind of thing, almost imitating the night sky. You can kind of imagine being like with someone at night time and kind of being nostalgic for that feeling that you have with them. And I think it's invigorating for the music to represent what the lyrics do as well. That's part of why I like Ninefingers' work. This is consistent. The theme overall of it, when you listen to this track and you hear everything put together in a way where this transitions between parts of the track are seamless, and there's no filler. The performance overall is solid. We don't have everything at once. It gently layers things until things become sort of like consistent, but because of the story that's being told, and then getting to the kind of the upper point, but then coming away again, you get this bell curve that's never too abrupt and is just the right slope. It sounds like someone that is just kind of coming to terms with maybe some like coping that they've needed to deal with the fact that they're falling for that person, but I think it's kind of like a very kind of like smooth way of telling someone how you feel about them. There's a little bit of sadness to it, you know, as per the minor phrasings of those chords and stuff like that. But it's almost like you're sad because you couldn't have had more time with that person. It doesn't sound like intrinsically like depressed or anything like that. It's just more like, this is what it is, so what do we do now kind of thing. It's like leaving the question open as to whether the person you're talking to about this really wants to continue things further. So I think that was an interesting angle that makes sense with the lyrics there, with the chord choices and the low key, sort of lo-fi tones of the bass and drums and stuff, Starry Sky with the Night thing. Yeah, great performance, not note out of place. The studio recording, mixing and mastering was tight. The vocals had a great presence in the mix, were nice and bright and clean sounding, with the wavery kind of backing vocals there, misty kind of reverb thing, again contrasting neatly there in post-production as well. Guitar, bass, drums and keys were nicely niched within the frequency spectrum and stereo field, with things not being too overwhelming. There was dynamic range to it, things were not the same loudness all the time. It was still nicely leveled though, the mix was tight, it was nice and loud without pumping, so the bus compression and leveling was handled, and effectively you also got the better automation with the volume, but then with the fade out, which is the classy way to do the end of a single like that. You fade things out, appreciate the instrumental beat, and then you're done. I mean, effectively, that's my review of this track from an X named Ninefingers, titled Falling Every Day, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via their various social medias. I'm sure this will be on all digital streaming platforms, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I will catch you in the next review. Spiderhands out.